Hello there. We start with a battle in the skies. They say all fair is in love and war, but should that extend to pandemics as well? That's the question at the heart of a legal dispute brought to the EU's General Court today. Governments came to the rescue of embattled airlines when it became clear that planes would remain grounded as coronavirus roiled across the world. In doing so, normal rules around state aid were loosened. A scheme in France, for example, was created to allow Air France to defer taxes. Now, Ryanair says that's unfair. Does it have a point? Well, let's put that question to the expert, Professor Steve Pearce, who's at the School of Law at University of Essex. What do you think about this? Do you think Ryanair does have a point here? Ryanair itself is benefiting from any support schemes. The response to the threat. Do you think in this situation that the response to the global pandemic to loosen state aid and to allow such schemes like deferring of taxes, for example, was proportionate for these airlines? I mean, are they really national assets? Okay, well, China has overtaken the United States as the European Union's largest trading partner. This happened last year. Well, we've just got the data and we can speak now to Sharanjit Lail, who is in our Asia Business Hub. You've been following the story for us. In some ways, I guess it's a surprise that this hasn't happened before. Are we talking about imports or exports or both here? Sharanjit Lail in Singapore for us. Now, the world's biggest cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, has broken through the $50,000 barrier for the very first time. It's had a meteoric rise, up almost 900% since March of last year. Our North America business correspondent, Michelle Fleury, explains what's behind the latest jump. Wow, crazy statistics. Now let's talk supercars. McLaren Automotive, the sister company of McLaren Formula One team, has today launched its latest high-tech, high-spec offering called the Artura. The new car is a plug-in hybrid capable of high speeds but also running on pure electric power for short periods of time. Now, the launch comes at a pretty important moment for the McLaren group. It was badly hit, of course, by the pandemic, which forced it to lay off more than 1,000 staff and seek a bailout, an emergency loan of $150 million from the National Bank of Bahrain. Sorry, there you go. Difficult, it's very early in the morning. But according to the car company boss, it's now on the road to recovery. He spoke to Theo Leggett. Well, let's get some of the other day's news. A British oil and gas company. Now, how about this for a windfall? The recipients of roughly $500 million that the US banking giant Citigroup wired erroneously are going to get to keep the money. Judge Jesse Furman said Citi was not entitled to recoup the funds, even though they were indisputably transferred by mistake. Citi said it will appeal the decision. Well, joining me now is Mark Oswald, who's the chief economist and global strategist at ADM ISI. Wow, it reads like a Scrabble board, doesn't it, Mark? Amazing this, but the money isn't theirs to keep necessarily, and because it's under some sort of freezing order at the moment, so I guess they can't spend any. They're reviewed by the judge. It's an online chat between employees at the lender about this blunder. They said it's the downside of working from home. Maybe the dog hit the keyboard, but there is a sort of a serious point in there insofar as everyone over the last 12 months has been working differently, and I wonder whether that will form the basis of the appeal, that systems are different and things do sometimes go missing, even if that's $500 million. Blunder. Take them a whole 24 hours to realise it was gone missing and it was gone to the wrong place. Well, do stay with us here on BBC News. Still to come as the lockdown. This is BBC World News, the latest headlines for you. Now, medical cannabis has become big business in North America and Europe, with the industry expected to grow to $56 billion by 2025. In today's segment of CEO Secrets, one farmer in Canada shares how he's separating himself from the dozens of growers that have now flooded the market. Now, one of the winners from the pandemic has been Shopify. It's a Canadian company that allows sellers to set up and manage virtual stores. When the lockdown shuttered bricks and mortar retail, many shops scrambled to get online, and that's helped drive a surge in demand for Shopify's services. We'll get a sense of just how much when it reports its earnings before the bell on Wednesday. But the overall direction is pretty clear. Its share price has risen by more than 5.5 1,000% since the firm went public 6 years ago. Well, joining me now is Liam Patterson, who's the CEO and founder of Biddnamic. Now, Liam, I guess this company has got a lot to live up to. Has last year's rally in particular inflated investor expectations beyond what's realistic? Wednesdays, but lots of first-time entrepreneurs fail. There's a very high failure rate for these kind of businesses and for retail in particular. I mean, how sensible is this for a business to be scaling this quickly and allowing all these people to have a platform?
Yeah, I think
I was an entrepreneur, and I was selling things on a website. I mean, what are the major benefits for me to be on a sort of an aggregator site like this, like Shopify, versus having my own, it's sort of distinct brand offering with my own website?
Yeah, so maybe.
So Liam Patterson from Biddnamic, thanks very much for joining us. So those results coming out before the bell on Wednesday. I can show you a quick flash of the markets if I can. Asian markets have been open today, and you can see this is how the Nikkei is trading, just 1/3% down. Plenty more coming up with the headlines in about 5 minutes' time. See you soon. Amazing pictures there, and it's not just the US experiencing some of the most extreme weather around the world going on. The other, wow, strange, eh? Let's talk tennis, shall we? Karina Machova has stunned the world by beating Ash Barty, the #1, to come in from behind on the Australian Open. The 24-year-old from the Czech Republic booking her spot in her first Grand Slam semi-final. Pretty big upset for the homegrown hero. Let's speak to Tanya about this. What happened? What happened in the match?
Look, it was really...
Spectators back, because I remember when we were talking about whether or not this was going to happen, the Australian Open, under what capacity. It was so great to be able to know 20,000 spectators a day they were hoping for. So does it feel like things are getting back to normal when it comes to Australia and these kind of live events?
Look, definitely.
Well, good tennis to watch, certainly, over the next few days. Thanks very much, Tanya. Now, the city of New Orleans is famous for its music right across the world, also its food, and of course the Mardi Gras festival, sadly cancelled this year because of the pandemic. No festival means no floats, but that. Plenty more coming up with all the business news in about 5 minutes' time. I'll see you then. London. Take them a whole 24 hours to realise it was gone missing and it was gone to the wrong place. Well, do stay with us here on BBC News. Still to come as the lockdown. Hello there. We start with a battle in the skies. They say all fair is in love and war, but should that extend to pandemics as well? That's the question at the heart of a legal dispute brought to the EU's General Court today. Governments came to the rescue of embattled airlines when it became clear that planes would remain grounded as coronavirus roiled across the world. In doing so, normal rules around state aid were loosened. A scheme in France, for example, was created to allow Air France to defer taxes. Now, Ryanair says that's unfair. Does it have a point? Well, let's put that question to the expert, Professor Steve Pears, who's at the School of Law at University of Essex. What do you think about this? Do you think Ryanair does have a point here?